Your Excellencies, ambassadors, high commissioners, and members of the diplomatic corps present, Principal Secretary and Beatrice Nyangala, Vice Chancellor of Universities and TVET institutions. I am deeply honored to officiate the closing of the inaugural Science, Technology, Research and Innovation for Society Week. The theme of this event, Igniting Innovation and Bridging Science and Society for Sustainable Development, captures our ambition and responsibility to see the true value of science in its transition from discovery to application and from knowledge generation to practical use. Kenya is particularly proud to host this first of its kind gathering, which brings together over 5,000 stakeholders to showcase scientific excellence, commercialize research, and bridge the gap between science and local communities. I take this opportunity to warmly welcome all the participants and urge you to use this platform for scientific exchange and collaboration to move science, technology, and innovation from the edges of public discourse to its center. Your presence here signals to Kenya's scientific community, our partners on the African continent, and the world that our government regards science, technology, and innovation instruments in our national development for society and the world. It endorses President William Ruto's strategy of placing science, technology, and innovation at the core of Kenya's socio-economic transformation journey by effectively harnessing technology and innovation for sustainable development by the government to establish a carefully curated for advancing, showcasing, and celebrating science. Such is transformation. Scientific knowledge becomes more useful when it is transferred to communities, markets, industry, policy, and the next generation. It is therefore more than a convening of key actors within our national science and innovation ecosystem. It is a clear and deliberate statement of our national development. Science must not be seen as the exclusive preserve of laboratories or academic institutions. It must be understood as a national priority that actively engages government, industry, and society in shaping and applying knowledge for the benefit of all. I am certain that you engaged constructively during the key sessions of the program that brought together those who generate knowledge and those who can fund, apply, and scale it. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenya is among the leading innovation-driven economies in Africa. We recently launched and accelerate our research and innovation ecosystems. These developments reflect a strong and growing foundation for Kenya's science, technology, and innovation ecosystem, which also demonstrates the immense possibilities of our people. When Kenya invests in science with vision, discipline, and purpose, the returns are tangible and the impact is measurable. The task before us now is to build upon these possibilities deliberately, decisively, and at scale to drive national growth and shared prosperity. It is equally important that we confront the constraints that continue to limit the full realization of our national science, technology, and innovation potential as a driver of national development. These include the governance of the research and innovation landscape, which should be improved to enhance synergies between research institutions and foster deeper linkages between academia and industry. I am confident that the establishment of the State Department for Science, Research and Innovation will help resolve the coordination and governance issues. And I think Professor Shokat should drive this more aggressively for us. It will ensure that we collectively drive the changes required so that research informs policy, inventions are translated into market-ready innovations, and science delivers measurable economic value in the daily lives of Kenyan citizens. I wish to assure you of the government's commitment to enhance funding for research, science and innovation to at least 2% of Kenya's gross domestic product. This will stimulate the transition of knowledge from universities and research institutions to viable enterprises, communities, and markets. Ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted to hear the announcement of the Grand Challenge Initiative under the State Department for Science, Research and Innovation and the National Research Fund, supported by the Science for Africa Foundation. Further, I look forward to the launch of the Master Plan for Research Financing and Capacity Strengthening document, which is supported by the United Kingdom's Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office. Let me conclude by urging you to continue deliberating through your networks on how to move forward the actions you have agreed on during this week. Before I step off the podium, and sometimes it's very difficult to talk to people intellectually, capacity to innovate and help. It's somebody who resembles her. But to us, few years, the world has seen a number of global shocks. First, conflict at the beginning, again another shock, with the impact and implication filtering through global economies and forcing realignment of funding by various countries to critical institutions, whether multilateral or those that are involved in aspects of research like yourselves. And then more recently, up to now, we are still experiencing is the Middle East crisis. That's perhaps the third shock. Successive shocks, global shocks to humanity. And one thing that comes out is that we as a nation or as a people must realize that it cannot be business as usual. This is where your skills, your innovations must be brought to bear so that alternative solutions can quickly be made available to citizens, particularly those from developing countries like us. The reality is that ability at which innovative ways of trying to figure out how to accelerate the derivative ways of trying to figure out how to accelerate the delivery of your innovation. The way I see it, for instance, is that if we are to talk of the full impact of the Middle East crisis, and today the President, I think, has issued a statement to it, I think we need to be honest with each other. The impact impact of that crisis is going to linger with us for much longer than we imagine. And we need to brace ourselves, and we need to start looking at how to manage some of the challenges that are ahead of us. The full impact is going to filter into our economies. Even if the war stops, the impact is still going to be there, and we are likely to feel more pressure, perhaps even within the next 3 to 4 months, within the economy. And I speak because it is important we communicate this to the people and start preparing ourselves psychologically for more difficult times. If you come across some of the literature in the Middle East, for instance, where we rely for all our fossil fuels, you will find that the Strait of Hormuz is literally where everything goes through. And even when the release is made, it's going to take time. There's lead time for this fuel to get to its respect. We must speak to be an instant coffee engagement. If you're looking for instant coffee, and whereas other countries like the UAE, maybe Saudi may find different routes to. There are others that are going to be even tighter. As somebody called it, they become prisoners of geography because of their natural gas. That is the gas we use. And primarily, our biggest source is Qatar. Qatar has no other outlet to evacuate gas. It is only through the Hormuz Strait. So what does this mean? The dining table for families. It's going to have implications. Now, these are issues that sometimes you cannot explain in a political rally, because we politicians at a political rally, we want to speak, somebody claps for you, and you think you have won the day. But the reality is different. The reality is that we are walking a difficult moment. The impact of the global shocks will hurt us. And this is why what we are doing here in terms of trying to ramp up the whole idea of science, innovation, and technology in our communities, extremely important. And therefore, I want to really commend you for what you're doing and to encourage you that it is through what you're capable of doing that solutions will be found that are sustainable for economies like ours, and for us to realize that we have to, as we go into the future, we have to make investments in areas that we never thought we could or we should. But we have now been taught that it will be important to see how we can get gas from Tanzania and get gas from Mozambique going into the future. These are the hard lessons that now must come to our doorsteps. It can no longer be assumed that it will always be the same. So I thought maybe sharing a few of these observations would be helpful to just kind of show that level of perhaps desperation that we could find ourselves in if we do not support science and innovation. So I really want to appeal to you, as I commend you for what has been going on, to say that you are the people who are going to help us deal with global shocks and also help in providing solutions for millions of citizens worldwide. It is now my pleasure to declare the inaugural Science, Research, Technology, and Innovation for Society Week officially closed. I wish you safe travels back to your stations. God bless Kenya, and asanteni sana for being courageous